Dr. Sarah Chen pressed her palm against the cool limestone blocks of the Great Pyramid, feeling the weight of 46 centuries beneath her fingertips. The October wind carried sand across the Giza plateau, but her attention was fixed on the peculiar markings she'd discovered 3 days ago, symbols that didn't match any known hieroglyphic system. "Still think it's a hoax?" asked Marcus Webb, her research partner, as he approached with a steaming cup of coffee that smelled like salvation in the pre-dawn darkness. Sarah shook her head, pulling out her tablet to show him the latest scans. The carbon dating came back. These markings are definitely ancient, possibly predating the pyramid's construction by several centuries, but look at this pattern. The symbols were arranged in a spiral configuration, each one precisely carved despite their apparent age. What made them extraordinary wasn't their antiquity, but their uncanny resemblance to star charts, specifically constellations that wouldn't be visible from Egypt for another 3,000 years due to precession. "It's impossible," Marcus muttered, zooming in on the images. Unless what? Unless whoever carved these had knowledge of astronomical cycles that we assume ancient civilizations couldn't possess. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Amara Hassan, the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities liaison. Her usually composed demeanor seemed strained as she hurried toward them, clutching a leather satchel. "You need to see this immediately," she said, breathing heavily. "We found similar markings." "Where?" Sarah asked.
"Everywhere." Amara opened her satchel and pulled out photographs. The Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico, Angkor Wat in Cambodia, Stonehenge in England, all discovered in the last 72 hours by different archaeological teams, all identical to your symbols. The implications hit Sarah like a physical blow. Ancient civilizations separated by thousands of miles and centuries, all bearing the same impossible star charts. Marcus voiced what they were all thinking. How is that possible without some form of global communication? Over the next several hours, they worked feverishly to decode the symbols. Sarah's expertise in archaeoastronomy proved crucial as she began to recognize the pattern. The symbols weren't just depicting future star positions, they were creating a map. "It's a countdown," she realized, her voice barely a whisper. "Each location marks a specific celestial alignment. The symbols aren't just showing where stars will be, they're showing when something is supposed to happen." Marcus looked up from his calculations. "When?" Sarah's hands trembled as she double-checked her work. "Tomorrow night, during the lunar eclipse." Amara frowned. "What's supposed to happen?" "I don't know, but..." Sarah pulled up a global map on her tablet, marking each location where the symbols had been found. Connected by lines, they formed a perfect geometric pattern, a dodecagon that encompassed the entire Earth. "Look at this. Every ancient monument with these symbols sits at a precise mathematical point. It's like they're nodes in some kind of global network." As night fell, the three researchers found themselves standing in the pyramid's inner chamber, surrounded by equipment they'd hastily assembled. The lunar eclipse had begun, casting an eerie red glow through the narrow shafts that pierced the pyramid's heart. At exactly 11:47 p.m., something extraordinary happened. The symbols began to glow with a faint phosphorescent light, not from any external source, but from within the stone itself. The spiral pattern pulsed in rhythm with some unseen heartbeat, and the chamber filled with a low, harmonic vibration that seemed to resonate from the earth itself. "Are you recording this?" Sarah whispered, afraid that speaking too loudly might break whatever spell was unfolding. Marcus nodded, his equipment registering electromagnetic fluctuations, unlike anything in the scientific literature. "The entire pyramid is acting like some kind of transmitter." Through their radio, they began receiving reports from archaeological teams at the other locations. The same phenomenon was occurring simultaneously across the globe. Ancient monuments awakening after millennia of silence, all synchronized to the celestial event unfolding overhead. Then, as the eclipse reached totality, the symbols projected a holographic image into the chamber's center, a three-dimensional star map of breathtaking complexity. But this wasn't showing Earth's night sky. The constellations were unfamiliar, the stellar arrangements unlike anything visible from their solar system. "It's a message," Amara breathed, "a message from somewhere else." The holographic display shifted, showing what appeared to be a journey, a route through space marked by the same symbols they'd been studying. The path led from that distant star system to Earth, with stopping points marked along the way. Sarah realized the truth with stunning clarity. They were visitors, ancient travelers who left these markers as breadcrumbs, a way to find their way back, or to guide others to follow their path. "But why hide the message in astronomical alignments?" Marcus asked. "Because they knew that any civilization advanced enough to decode it would also be advanced enough to understand what it meant," Sarah replied. "It's a test of technological and intellectual development." As the eclipse ended, the lights gradually faded and the chamber returned to darkness. But the implications of what they'd witnessed would reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. The ancient pyramids weren't just monuments to dead pharaohs or impressive feats of engineering. They were components in an interstellar communication system left by visitors who had walked the Earth when human civilization was still in its infancy. In the days that followed, as news of the discovery spread across the world, Sarah often returned to that chamber. The symbols had returned to their dormant state, but she knew they would activate again during the next significant celestial alignment. Humanity now faced a choice: remain earthbound and content with their ancient mysteries solved, or follow the star map to discover who had visited Earth so long ago and why they had left such an elaborate invitation to follow them into the cosmos. Standing once again before the Great Pyramid, Sarah smiled as she watched construction begin on humanity's first interstellar communication array. The ancient builders had left more than just monuments. They had left humanity a doorway to the stars, wrapped in stone and hidden in the language of the heavens themselves. The mystery of the pyramids was solved, but in its place lay an even greater mystery. What waited at the end of that cosmic pathway, and were humanity's long-lost visitors still out there, watching for a response to their ancient message? Only time and courage would tell.